And I just want to be like remembered as one of a leader. I want guys to look up to me. I had a lot of guys above me that I looked up to, and that helped me out throughout the whole college process.
I have the ability to take a 5-yard catch and make it into something special. So I think that was probably the biggest eye grabber.
Getting the offers over the phone after the draft is over, like you have my go ahead to say I'll sign. So that's kind of how that happened. It was quick.
Hello, welcome back to a very special D1R 200. I'm your host, Kobe Manzo. Tonight, my voice is going to give out on me apparently, but tonight we have a lot going on in this episode of D1 Rejects. I've got 3 incredible guests joining me, all 3 of them D2 football players or now former D2 football players that have gone on to sign undrafted free agent deals with their respective NFL teams following the NFL draft. And of course, not any small school players, D2, D3, NAIA, selected in this year's draft. I'm going to get into that in the intro here, but that was kind of disappointing. I think that was kind of the bigger mark across all of social media, and I was definitely in that boat as well. But I want to be very clear in that 0 drafted does not mean 0 opportunities. This episode is all about the D2, D3, and NAIA players that have earned opportunities at the next level. At the NFL specifically, we're going to go through that list of UDFA guys. We're going to go through the list of every small school player that has received a minicamp, a rookie minicamp invite from NFL teams. So we'll talk about all of that. We'll talk about why the small school players potentially weren't drafted and how this will change going forward. How does a typical quote-unquote path of college football players change moving forward? So I'm really excited about this one, the night of April 28th, to have you here with me and talk some football in wake of the NFL draft. And I think we should start things off with my pick here of the tweet of the week. This one comes from Bobby Johnson. It's a little small on the screen there, but I'll read it for you. And Bobby, who I've had on the show, a great guy, his tweet says, quote, "I don't think people understand how good you truly have to be to make a 53-man roster in the NFL." And, at first glance, it's a very simple tweet, and he's absolutely correct. But to break down the numbers here for you, there are over 1 million high school football players in the United States, 77,000 NCAA players at the college level, another roughly 9,300 at NAIA. That gives you an estimated total of over 86,000 college players, judging off the internet, the facts and numbers I could find from recent years on the internet. Let's say I know for a fact that 1,696 players make up the 53-man rosters of the 32 NFL teams. So given all of these numbers, I just threw a lot at you, college football players have less than a 2% chance at making an NFL's active roster. Making an NFL team's active roster. College football players have less than a 2% chance at making an NFL team's active roster. Had to say that again because that shows you, this is not D2, D3, NAIA. This is college football players. Less than 2% chance. The odds only get worse if you aren't from a D1 in a power conference, an SEC, a Big Ten, ACC, or otherwise. So that should show you, I think that the numbers really illustrate exactly what Coach Johnson is talking about. And I do have a great graphic breakdown here of exactly what I'm talking about. So I'll give it the kind of the full screen so you can read this here. By conference, you can see how many picks in this year's draft. Now they have a pre-realignment, a pre-transfer, and then an actual. I'm going to go off the actual here because you do see there's a GAC and a Great Midwest, 2 D2 conferences in the bottom right there. That's pre-transfer. So there was a guy from Hillsdale and a guy from, I believe it was maybe Southern Arkansas or otherwise in the GAC who had transferred out and then were drafted from the Division I school they transferred to. But look at this list. Look how top-heavy this is. The SEC had 79 picks. The Big Ten had 71. Then you have a drop down. The ACC with 42, the Big 12 with 31, then another drop. I believe that's FBS independent. It's like 7, and then you have, like Mountain West, MAC, and American Big Sky, all these other Pac-12 down there with 1. And that should just illustrate, again, how difficult this is. And if you aren't coming from a Big Ten or an SEC, ACC and Big 12, of course, too, important. But if you aren't coming from one of those Power 4s, man, this thing's really difficult. It's really difficult to get in, and it's even more difficult to stay. So definitely wanted to touch on that in the open. But as always, you can watch the episode on YouTube if you are. Bottom of the screen right there, video chapters. Use a little red bar. Slide forward to any part of the video you'd like to see, any of the interviews or content, and then get the hell out of here. Otherwise, listen for the entire thing. I'd really appreciate that. Listen pretty much anywhere, though. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, you name it. Follow us on the socials. Let's get right into that first guest conversation. Join the show tonight. He's an All-American wide receiver, one of the best to do it in the country at D2, even though he only fielded 2 offers out of high school. Just found that out, by the way. That's insane. But he just got some incredible news during the NFL draft representing Emporia State. Tyler Kahmann. What's up, brother?
Hey, man. Thanks for having me on. Appreciate you.
Excited to get you on here. 2 offers out of high school. Got to look back at that and smile at some point, I imagine.
Yeah, man. I mean, listen, I ended up exactly where I needed to be for sure. But, yeah, it is crazy looking back at it, and I've come a long way.
That is absolutely correct, dude. And, to talk about fast forward to now, you get told you're heading to Indy with the Colts while the draft was still going on, huh?
Yeah, it was kind of crazy. I didn't even really know how that worked, like the process itself, and it was a cool call. I was sitting there watching the draft when I got it, so it was a cool deal.
I look back to I forget who made the video, but it's the kind of the meme, and he gets picked, and he's just sitting there drinking a beer on the couch, and it's like me?
Yeah.
Me?
Yeah.
And obviously, maybe had a couple pops or not, but just sitting there enjoying the draft and all of a sudden get this call from your agent. And from the article I read, did you really ask him 3 times if he was being honest and truthful?
Well, it just happened so fast. Like, I knew he was being truthful. It was just my reaction. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was just my reaction. Yeah. I was just, it's so surreal when it happens, man. So, it was just my reaction.
Probably, a lot of prank calls going on around right now. Probably, say, half a dozen guys that were expecting to get their names called, and all of a sudden their numbers are getting leaked and things. Have you a little on edge, maybe?
Yeah. I mean, first of all, that's super sad. I mean, that stuff is
totally
that's
agreed. I
don't think anybody's prank calling me, but no, but dude, that's really sad. All that stuff is going on.
It is, and it's like that's got to be like bottom of the barrel type low. And with that being said, I have to imagine there's some other MIAA goons down there that would definitely consider doing that to you after you've torched their teams for the last couple of years.
That's hilarious. Yeah, that's funny.
But besides that, obviously, it's certainly when teams want to go ahead and get these UDFA guys, these free agent guys, while the draft is still going on, they identify guys like you of smaller school, smaller background, maybe didn't check the boxes of specific teams when it came to drafting, and they know that they've got you slotted right on the cusp of a late round. Someone might come up and do something, or really right after. There's that frenzy of teams trying to go and get the guys that they feel really strongly about. Did any other teams come calling in that time, or did you have to make any kind of choice, or was it Indy right from the get-go going to fully commit to this opportunity?
Man, I to be honest with you, I don't really know my agent. I mean, he did a great job. He's been a huge help to this whole process, man. He kind of did the deal, and he's the one that called me and said we're good to go. Hey, honestly, I don't care, man. I'm blessed with the opportunity.
Yeah, that's great, and that's one of those things too where you have to imagine you got to have that level of trust with them, right?
Yeah.
For them to go out on your behalf to speak and represent you, and to say that, yes, this might be the first one that comes calling, and you might have to play that game of, hey, do we sit on this for a minute and wait to see if there's some other potential suitors, or do we jump on this immediately, say, hey, this is as good as an opportunity as any, and go out there and prove it and try and make a roster?
Yeah, man. He's like I said, he's been a wonderful help, and I trust him with everything for sure. And he's a great dude.
That's great. Yeah, I feel like a lot of people can't say that. I mean, Shiloh had his dad representing him, and then fired him and got a quote-unquote real agent and got signed probably in the next couple hours. So some things definitely pan out that way.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, I've been blessed with Chris for sure, and I'm so grateful for him.
What do you think the toughest part of this process has been for you? And not to say that it's over, right? We're still very much at the tip of the iceberg, and hopefully for you, the very beginning of something that'll be really special moving on to play in the league. But through this point, what do you think part of the toughest process had been of this?
Yeah, I think for the most part, it's just the unknown. Yeah. I think it's just, coming from a smaller school, man, it's just such an uphill battle, just with everything. And there's just so much unknown. You're working out every single day, not knowing if you're going to get a chance. And there's probably a lot of players, great players that didn't get a chance. And I'm blessed that I got one and super grateful. But I think the unknown and just the anxiousness of not knowing what exactly is going to happen was probably the hardest part.
Yeah, and I guess to follow up on that, what gets you through that? How do you navigate that? Is it as simple as just keeping your mind busy and constantly staying occupied? I'm sure there's a part of it where you go out and do everything in your power to go and give yourself the best opportunity so that when the time does come, you don't look back and say, man, if I would have done X, Y, or Z, then maybe I would have had a better shot. How do you navigate some of that anxiety and some of the unknown you talk about?
Yeah, I think, one thing that, keeps you level headed is just doing everything you possibly can. Like, it's a really good feeling knowing that, like, I literally did, I thought I did everything I could to put me in the best position to succeed. I think that's a really good feeling to have. But another thing is just having, I got so many people in my corner, man. I'm so lucky to have so many people. I got so many supporters, from my coaches to my teammates to my family. I'm super lucky to have all those people, and they definitely help a lot through the whole process.
That's great, man. And you talk about how crazy and hectic this time is. And of course, maybe it settles down for a brief millisecond. Report day is May 8th. I mean, this is right around the corner for you. The fact that the turnaround is so quick is pretty wild to me, but that's just how the business works. What can you do between now and then to prepare yourself? How much of that is mental prep? How much of that is physical prep, How much in between?
Yeah, I think just continue to work on my craft. I mean, some people are working out this week. Like some teams have it this weekend. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, just continue to work, man. I mean, I've been doing the same thing for the past 5 months. I'm sure if you ask a lot of guys that are training for this, like that, it's pretty monotonous.
Yep.
You get tired of doing the same thing every single day. But I'm just gonna continue to do it until next week and go from there, man.
Any crazy parts of the workout regimen or of the diet? I always go back to the combine clip of the dude throwing every Gatorade flavor imaginable with some like eggs and random grits and crap into the blender, like during the combine. It was like some
Yeah.
outrageous smoothie shake deal.
Yeah, no, I keep it pretty simple, man.
Okay.
I don't mind eating a lot of the same things every day. Like that's just
Good.
kind of how I am. I'm not the best cook in the world, but I can get by. So,
Okay.
just no, I don't mind doing any of that stuff.
I like it. I like it. And now you talk about when you get a shot at the league, and hopefully, again, for you is just the beginning and not the end, of course. You stamp yourself regardless, damn near as a historical figure in your program, right? Your name's going to be put up there and displayed with the best of the best at Emporia, someone whose name is going to be up there, and you're going to leave a legacy. And, of course, that legacy is determined by you and what you go on to do. What kind of legacy do you think you leave behind at ESU?
Yeah, for the most part, man, I just want to be like remembered as one of a leader. I want guys to look up to me. I had a lot of guys above me that I looked up to, and that helped me out throughout the whole college process. College is full of ups and downs, man. Like
Hmm.
I mean, there's a lot of ups and downs, and I had a great support system through college, and I just want people to know that, I want guys to look up to me and maybe can try to follow in the same steps I did, and just continue to work hard, man. I feel like, I still remember, being in the fourth string, like a depth chart, low on the depth chart,
Oh,
like
yeah.
during COVID. Like I remember just being so low and just, you know, you just got to continue to work hard, and I really believe good things will happen if you do that.
Paying your dues, man. And that's been the whole conversation now of college football is, have we gotten away from that, right? Have we gotten away from guys being able to pay their dues and work their way up? And there are still places, a lot of which are in the MIAA, where guys can really work through and get there. And that kind of brings me to our next point of the conference. Right now, in my opinion, without a doubt, the best conference in Division II. And that's coming from a GLIAC guy, where Ferris on this incredible run right now, and Grand Valley is always going to be in the national conversation. He's got some other teams in there that certainly are competitive. But from top to bottom now, the level of competition in the MIAA is unlike anything we see across the country. It hasn't always been that way, right? How have you seen, especially the bottom half of that conference, so to speak, really rise up to the bar in the time you've been at Emporia?
Yeah, not trying to rant too much. We've only gotten two teams in the playoffs this year, which I just think is crazy, man. I mean,
Totally agree.
dude, it's so hard. It's and like you said, like it's not like necessarily the top, man. The top, there's a lot of great leagues with, top two teams that are like really, really good.
Yes.
It's top to bottom, man. I mean, I could give so many examples. Like, I mean, Washburn. Okay, so they won 2 games this year. They are a great team. They were a great team. They played so many close games. They played mines close. And it's almost every single week it's going to be based off 1 or 2 plays. Like that's just how it is, man. There's no breaks. We used to not have a bye.
Yep.
This was the first year we had a bye week. So, I mean, I think like even last year, man, like we just beat each other up so much, man, and it definitely hurts us in the playoffs for sure. Like, but no, dude, like top to bottom, it's got to be the best in the country, no doubt.
Absolutely, yeah. Cannibalization, man. You guys eat up on each other, and then when it gets to the playoffs, and it's like just the last man standing, and then you got to go play a Ferris, a GV, a Harding, you know, whatever it is, whoever's coming around the corner in that region. So expanded playoffs will help, and the regions, of course, being switched up should, in theory, help. You know, only time will tell, right? But no, that's a very good point. But you talk about that level of competition, and of course, that's a big knock on a lot of guys coming from the smaller schools, Division II, and specifically, of course. That level of competition inside of the conference, I'm sure that was part of your conversations with people at the next level of, hey, even though I am coming from this school labeled as a Division II institution, look at the level of competition I'm playing on a week in and week out basis. And of course, what comes with that, you're not just stepping on the field with the Pittsburgh States, with the Central Missouris, with these Fort Hays, whatever it may be going down the line. You're going out there and putting up some ridiculous numbers on top of that. How did that level of competition maybe help you propel and give you a better argument for the next level?
Yeah, and man, there's so many guys that come from the MIAA every year. I remember, I mean, Pitt State had a guy last year that played for the Saints this year, made the 53.
Yep.
I mean, Dallas Flowers was there when I was a freshman. He made the 53. So there's a lot of, I can give so many examples. There's so many examples. And so, yeah, I think the league knows that too, man. I really do. I believe that a lot of scouts in the league know how good the MIAA is and how good the competition is. And it definitely helps me out. No doubt about it. I mean, there's so many good players, and I mean, there's a lot of guys that signed and got mini camps in our league too this year. And they're all deserving. There's probably more that deserved it, to be honest with you. So, yeah, it's such a competitive league, and it's definitely going to help me at the next level.
What's exciting for you? I guess moving forward, we talked about report day being made. You got a little bit of time between then and now, but what excites you most about the next week or so?
Yeah, man, just kind of just learning, man. I mean, there's going to be so many different people I can learn from when I get there, like just the resources and just, I mean, the receiver coach there is Reggie Wayne. Like I mean, that kind of stuff excites me, man.
That's
like
awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I can't wait to get up there and learn, man, and just be a sponge and learn how guys work and like X's and O's and all of it, man. I'm super excited.
Yeah, man. And that's, I guess, to build off of that and kind of a last one for you. What kind of materials do you get your hands on before, or is it really just show up to camp, here's your playbook, X's and O's, whatever, get in and get studying?
Yeah, I think it's more when you get there.
Okay.
Is when you really get on that stuff. And after rookie minicamp, I'll be up there still. So I'll have some time to be able to study the playbook as much as I can.
Yeah. Yeah, if we're leaking phone numbers out here on draft night, there's no doubt practice plans would definitely be on that list as well.
No kidding, man. No kidding.
Absolutely. But Tyler, appreciate you, man. That's really all I got for you. Quick one tonight, but really excited to follow along with you. Like I said, don't know what took me so long to get you on here, but glad I did now and excited to see you, go on and prosper at the next level, man.
Yes, sir. Hey, man, thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. Have a good rest of your night.
You too.
Okay, big thank you to Tyler for coming on the show. We're going to start things off here on the other portion of the episode with a little bit of an NFL draft recap. And I put this tweet out on social after the draft. It was from Reddit College Football that said every single pick of the 2025 NFL draft was an NCAA Division I player. Cannot remember that ever happening. The quote tweet from myself says, unfortunate, but have seen some former small school products picked up after transferring a level. This could become more of the norm with the landscape of college football. So that was my thought. And Frank Rossi replied, who I have a lot of great respect for. He said, actually, I'd expect the opposite. If roster limits and the house settlement are approved as currently written, it would push enough talent to lower divisions to potentially create a new wave of looks to lower divisions. And while his statement does definitely have merit, you talk about a roster limit of potentially 105 players per se, and now you've got to get rid of all these other guys on D1 rosters because they're not allowed to keep them on the team. That's going to force all these other guys down to Division II, to Division III, to NAIA, other opportunities, because they're still going to want to play ball at a high level. So I understand that. My other piece of that, though, is that those guys that are being pushed out or forced out, so to speak, from these Division I schools, not typically the ones that are going to warrant draft interest, right? The 105 guys on that roster, the scholarship guys, are the ones that are going to be garnering all that interest, are the guys that coaching staff believes are good enough to go and play meaningful snaps. Not to say that it's just the D2 and D3 just getting the scraps of the D1s. So that's not necessarily exactly how it works, but you're talking about a definite and physical talent disparity. from the 105 to everyone else and the guys that are being forced down. So to me, yeah, we could have some more talent at that level. Does that mean there'll necessarily be more draft picks? I don't know. I think only time will tell. The other point that was brought up by Frank and a few others was the idea of an 8th round of the NFL draft. And like I said earlier, I got a lot of respect for Frank. He's been doing this a long time, and him and I get along great. His idea was that the 8th round of the NFL draft proposed would be only for small school players, for D2, D3, and NAIA. And personally, I think that's a terrible idea. And I first of all, no one would ever go for it. The NFL would never go for it. But I personally think it's a terrible idea. It's a participation award and a participation trophy in an era, in a sport, and in a league that cares about winning and cares about money. That's it. And if the small school players are not going to come in and help the guys win, and they're not going to come in and help them make money as a franchise, in that order, typically, there's no point in doing that. It really would be such a watered down version and such a Rooney rules of sorts of, hey, you have to go and do X, Y, and Z, mandating that these teams have to pick from the small school products. You're watering down that accomplishment from D2, D3, and NAIA players of the past that have gone out and earned the right to be drafted, to be selected by a team, or to sign a UDFA deal, or to get invited to a rookie minicamp. To me, that idea was kind of all over the place, and I think his heart's obviously in the right place. He's been doing this for a long time, but for me, I did not like that idea at all. I think, this is the whole idea. It's underdogs. D2, D3, NAIA guys are underdogs. They're not always the ones with the flashiest film or the biggest numbers or the best metrics or stories, but they show up and they prove that they've earned a spot on these rosters. And so to ask that they're mandated that right when nobody else is given that right, I think it was a little unfair and a little offbeat. But I wanted to talk about this different point here. We had a few former small school players selected from their Division I schools they transferred to, and that's what I was kind of alluding to with, is this becoming the quote-unquote norm of college football? A player comes in, plays a year or two at a Division III or Division II institution, puts up some great film, some great numbers, attracts attention from these larger Division I institutions. Their agents or people otherwise are in their ear talking about how they can go get another opportunity elsewhere. They jump ship, go to a Division I, continue on that upward trajectory, continue to ball and play well, and now you're putting yourself in a better position to be drafted, a better position to make more NIL money, to have a larger following, and all these other things that come with playing Division I football. First of all, on record, I would never blame a kid for doing that. If you have a real chance to go play at the next level and your goal is to go play in the National Football League, by all means, you should take that opportunity. You should go play Division I football. That will give you, bar none, the best chance at playing in the National Football League. But I wanted to highlight two of those guys, two or three maybe, a couple of these guys. The first one being Isaac, I believe is pronounced Tisla, who we posted about earlier on. The former Hillsdale Charger, made the move up to the SEC, from GMAC to SEC, going from Hillsdale to Arkansas, and continued to ball out up there. A big frame wide receiver that was selected ultimately by the Lions in the 2025 NFL Draft. Just one example of a guy who started his career off at Division II and ended up at D1 and being selected in the NFL Draft. Another great example here, David Walker, who started his career at Southern Arkansas in 2021, transferred up to Division I at Central Arkansas, and then played there for the last 3 years of his career. You see the production right there. Those production numbers only go up. There was no step down after his first year at the Division II level. He made an impact. He was selected in round 4, pick 121 there. So really exciting couple of deals there. I believe he was selected by the Buccaneers. So two guys, for example, that started off at Division II, made the move up to Division I, and then were selected. This kind of along the same lines. A guy, Logan Tomlinson, right here. He originally came from Division III Wesleyan University, transferred up to FCS New Hampshire, and has earned himself a rookie camp invite for the Baltimore Ravens. And I think from a lot of teams, what we should be seeing is absolutely embrace these guys, right? Your program's played such a pivotal role in their development and their skill sets growing as a player. Wesleyan University, for example, put out a tweet of once a Cardinal, always a Cardinal. That's exactly how this should be embraced. These small schools play such a pivotal role that, once a D2 player, always a D2 player, right? You started your career here, or you played a portion of your career at Division 2 or 3 or NAIA or otherwise. That helped mold you, that helped made you the player and the person that you are now, and that should be something they carry with them onto, the NFL or otherwise in life. So, I think, going back to the roster limit rules, the big piece that D2s are not going to be able to stop these things from happening. At the end of the day, Division II institutions and lower, they're not going to have the money, they're not going to have the resources to keep top-level talent from leaving and using the portal to make a move up a level or even two. You're going to have, you'll have exceptions, of course. You'll have guys that have some type of other commitment or some type of other tie to a university or to a school that stayed there all 4 or 5 years when they could have left and gone bigger. That happens, and that's the beauty of college sports and sports in general. But for the most part, Division II universities, Division II schools, they just don't have the funding. They don't have the resources to keep these guys around. And that's, at the end of the day, that's going to be it. Why shouldn't guys go D1 if they have the chance? So for me, it really is going to become more of the norm in college football for these top performers at the D2 levels and otherwise to be poached by these Division I schools that can offer more NIL money, that can offer advanced resources, different agents or opportunities or connections or things along these lines, different avenues, especially when it comes into playing pro football. That's going to be the thing that a lot of teams are going to have to figure out how to overcome here, D2, D3, and otherwise. So, enough of the spiel on that. Let's talk about some of the guys, the small school players, signing professional contracts for the first time, all of them being NFL contracts. So, first up, from Grand Valley State, how about the man himself, Ian Kennelly? He's a Michigan native, played at Grand Valley State his entire collegiate career, and now has signed a UDFA deal with the Detroit Lions. Again, incredible story. But he's more than just an incredible story, right? He's 6'2", 205 pounds, a leader in that secondary that ranks second nationally by allowing just over 120 yards per game passing, notched an 85.95 passing efficiency rating on defense. And a funny stat here that I thought was hilarious, and if you know these schools, you will too. GVSU in his time there, they set a school record by not allowing a completed pass in 2 games. Northern Michigan and Harding during the 2024 season. Northern Michigan and Harding both running a variation of the triple option that involves almost no throwing. But regardless, they did not allow a pass, which was just a pretty funny note. But Ian is the man. Ian is an absolute baller. He's a ball hawk. He makes a ton of plays in that defensive backfield for this Grand Valley team, and he has been a leader and a staple for that defensive backfield. He's a first-team All-GLIAC performer. He shows up against big opponents. I think something that gets lost in the shuffle. This guy shows up when it matters most. He had 10 tackles versus Harding in the playoffs. He had a big-time interception against Ferris State when they played. And whenever the moment comes, he's ready to make a big-time play. That's a trait that transcends any kind of level of football, and hopefully will treat him well at the next level. In his career, he's got 8 interceptions, 174 tackles, 19 passes defended, and like I said, another great hometown kid and story for the Lions, but he's much more than that. Ian is a hell of a ball player, and excited to see if he can make some things shake with the Lions up there. Let's keep going on now. Up next, we got Melvin Smith Jr., the cornerback from Southern Arkansas, who is signed with the Chiefs. He's 6'1", 185 pounds. He's got experience in the return game, which I think is a big reason of why he was selected by the Chiefs. And it's not like they just throw him back there every once in a while and he can return all well because he's a decent athlete. Now, 9 returns in his career because he's pretty new to this. 3 of those, though, went to the house, over 500 yards in the return game already. And that's not to say that he hasn't been doing enough on the defensive side of the ball. This guy has filled up the stat book. 168 tackles in his career with 9 interceptions. And get this, 46 passes defended throughout his time at SAU. 46 passes defended is an incredibly high number, one of the most in the country. He was invited to the Reese's Senior Bowl, and their head coach, Brad Smiley, said that he's fired up for him and the opportunity, of course. He said he's a true testament to saying good things happen to those who work hard. And this is a guy, too, that when you look at his career, his statistics, the way that he's played as his career has progressed, he kept getting better as his career went on. You look at the statistics and the numbers, he never plateaued, never stopped, never took a step down. Every year felt like, from the outside looking in, from my perspective, he continued to build on what he had going on and just kept getting better and better. Sign of a great player, also sign of a great coaching staff. Take a guy like that and continue to develop him. Next up, Let's go to the trenches. From Minnesota State, Marshall Ferner, who I had the privilege and the honor to have on the show just recently. At 6'7", 305 pounds, this guy is definitely someone that opened the eyes of a lot of NFL scouts. And as a junior, he was named Elite 100 first-team offense, played in all 12 games, including 11 starts, all NSIC first-team type player, all super region, helped the Mavericks rush for over 2,500 yards in his junior campaign. But this guy, we talked about it in an interview. Go back 2 weeks in the episode to check out the interview, the full one with Marshall. Played a lot of tackle in college. Right, in college, your best guy, your biggest and best guy is going to go with that left tackle position. He owned that from Mankato, one of the best teams in the country. Made it to the national semifinal this year in a tough game to Valdosta. Played a lot of tackle because that's where they needed him, right? That's where his team, he was really going to benefit his team, was that left tackle spot, that anchor spot on the offensive line. He's comfortable at guard, and he's putting a lot of emphasis, he told me, on learning to snap, getting the footwork down so he can be versatile and a plug-and-play guy. Now, again, he's 6'7". He could play tackle in the NFL. It sounds like they have him slated at more of a guard type position. But I'm saying at that size and frame, the door is certainly open. It's not closed. 6'7", 300 pounds. The door is definitely open. So he has all the intangibles, and the coaching staff has certainly raved about him to be a long-tenured NFL-type quality dude. So definitely excited for what's next for Marshall there. Let's keep things moving, though. We've got Tyler on the show. You heard from him already, so I'll keep this one pretty short and sweet. Tyler Kahmann, the wide receiver from Emporia State, who has signed with the Colts, the two-time All-American. He had a record-breaking D2 career through 6 seasons at Emporia State, 281 catches, over 3,600 yards, 54 touchdowns. All those are program records. Kahmann is also the MIAA record holder for career touchdowns and set the MIAA single-game record for receiving yards with almost 300. That's kind of the quick bits on him. Again, you already heard from the interview, so I'll keep that one kind of short and brief, but Tyler is an absolute weapon offensively. Now, University of Minnesota Duluth had not one, but 2 guys sign UDFA deals with respective teams. We've got Aiden Williams, who signed with the Steelers, offensive lineman, and then Sam Pitz, the tight end, who we'll have on the show later on, with the Ravens. Sam is 6'6", 245 pounds. That's got to be enticing for scouts, once again. A guy who has put up good numbers, yes, but just has the build, frame, and athletic tangibles to be an NFL-caliber tight end. He was a first-team D2 All-American at tight end in 2024, had new highs in receptions with 33 and receiving yards at 360. Williams, on the other hand, the offensive lineman going to Pittsburgh, 6'5", 314 pounds, expected to play guard at the next level at 6'5". Again, if you're not 6'6", 6'7", in the NFL, you're not a tackle. It's just kind of like the barrier, I think, right now is probably that height number. Anyone below that, you're probably stuck on the interior 3 type of positions. He does have the athletic qualities that move blocking teams are looking for, can get to play side, backside blocks, and there were some critics out there talking about disadvantaged leverage-wise and that maybe his pass pro is a little bit too reactive, but I think for a lot of teams, they saw him as a development-type project, a guy who has a ton of great athletic ability and that they could turn into something really solid. So whether that's a practice squad opportunity for Aiden or otherwise, really excited to see what ends up going on there. A wide receiver out of the GMAC from Findlay University, who we'll also have on the show here very, very shortly. Let's talk about Red Douglas. 5'11", 200 pounds in his career, which included stops at Worcester College and Shippensburg University. Had 167 catches, over 2,500 yards through the air to go with 17 touchdowns. Also collected more than 1,700 kick return yards. So again, a dual-faceted guy who has a lot of promise in the special teams game. I'm assuming a great reason, we'll talk to him in a little bit, of why the Giants were really excited to bring this guy on. So congrats to Red. We'll talk to him very shortly. Stick around for that interview. Rounding things out here with the guys in UDFA deals. Let's talk about Virgil Lemons, the West Florida alum who has signed with the Tennessee Titans, 6 foot, 190 pounds. And again, a very experienced punt returner with a lot of spark. What are you starting to understand with these guys? A lot of these guys have a lot of capabilities in the special teams game. It's giving them an edge on that resume or portfolio, so to speak. When the film speaks, these guys feel like they can get them on the NFL roster and have them contribute in a multitude of ways. In the 10 games played this season, Lemons had 3 games with over 100 return yards. He led the nation in punt return yards with 602 total for an average of over 25 per return. He had 248 more return yards than the second best punt returner in NCAA D2. 2 returns for touchdowns as well, which was tied for second best in the country. Second team All-American as a return specialist, but he's also a very adept defensive back. The return game, of course, like I said, will put him over the edge and hopefully help him to make whether it's a practice squad or a 53-man. But before we get into every small school player with the minicamp invite, let's go back and talk to one of those D2 guys, get to the conversation with Red. Join the show tonight, the star receiver and return man that played a big part in the Oilers' success this season down at Findlay, the newest signee to the New York Giants following the NFL draft, none other than Red Douglas. What's up, brother?
How you doing?
Dude, excited to get you on here, and hell of a time to be Red, huh?
Yes, sir. You already know, man.
Dude, this has got to be just a ridiculously awesome time for you. Talk me through that night, first of all, getting the call and kind of moving on from there. Is that something that you've never expected out of him?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I mean, it was a whole process, actually. I mean, for me, it was a lot. I mean, dealing with going into that night, I mean, definitely it was just like, as you say, you watch the draft like any other year. I mean, definitely hope your name didn't get called, but after you go on with the process after, I mean, the Giants reached out. They invited me to the rookie minicamp, where I expect to go put up, do exactly what they expect out of me and then some. So, I mean, I'm just excited. Honestly, the biggest thing, I'm just excited, ready to get going.
100%, man. Like I kind of told you before we got going, and someone who is from the Midwest, played some college ball in the Midwest, albeit quite a bit north of you guys down there. I followed Findlay quite well and coached down there and some of the guys. And I know that there's quite a few guys from Findlay that have gone on to get some chances, some looks, and even some real playing time in the NFL. We're not just talking minicamp invites, talking about some guys who have some staying power. And you look at Big Mike just a year ago now, who seems to be catching on in the league. But you're the 9th player in the last 12 years to sign with an NFL team out of Findlay. It doesn't happen by accident, man. I think there's a couple times where you have some teams at the lower levels that stumble upon some kind of genetic freak, a guy who maybe is more of a project player viewed as but has a lot of upside for the NFL. That's not the case here. You guys have some players who are ready to go in, compete, and perform almost right away at the next level. And I'd imagine that was a big reason that originally led you to transfer and come over to Findlay.
Definitely. I mean, I got a chance to come on campus like any other recruitment process. On my visit, you could just see the culture. I was familiar with the offensive coordinator. I will say he was my offensive coordinator in my my first year at Shippensburg. So having that connection made the whole process a lot easier. And like I said, just building that culture. I like the culture they had going on here. I mean, they had came off a 7-4 season, I want to say. So I think they were moving in the right direction. And like I said, we already knew they were a good team, and I feel like introducing myself into that whole thing, I feel like it would play out well. And I think
absolutely. And the track record like that of sending off guys to the next level, what is it about the coaching staff, the strength and development, the culture, the winning, of course, that comes with all of those things that really helps these guys and sets them up for these chances in the league?
I mean, I think you got guys like you mentioned, you said strength, guys like our strength coach who's been here for 25 plus years over. Head coach been there for 25 plus years. So having guys who've been in this system know what it takes. Like, I think the coaches here got to experience a lot of those guys that went to that next level and built relationships with those guys. So I feel like just taking all the information in that I'm getting from them and building on top of that.
100%. And like I said a little bit earlier, your career didn't start with Findlay, but you're finishing as an Oiler, which is super important. You come in and by all means have a successful year in 2024. And for you guys, I'm sure the bar, you're always trying to push that bar, but 9-2, most people in the country are taking 9-2. You know what I mean? But I understand the expectations down there are very high. What did your experience with this squad help add to your resume and maybe fill in potentially some of those gaps that you thought going into it might be questions at the next level? How has this experience helped you build out that resume, and make you a more valuable prospect or target?
Just being able to go out there and compete. I think, like you said, I definitely had a successful season just coming off this season. So I was able to go out there and compete on a team that was playing at a high level and being able to be a productive player as far as that team, I think went into a lot of it.
Yeah. Absolutely. Now, from the Giants' perspective, in your eyes, I don't know if you've had conversations with their people about this, but what made you stand out, right? Because there's obviously, you go through that draft process, they get their guys at key positions, and then they get to address maybe some further needs when it comes to the free agency and those kind of things. What do you think stood out from their perspective and made you a top target?
I'm gonna go with my explosiveness and playmaking ability. Honestly, I think my ability when I get the ball in my hand, I think goes a long way. I definitely I have the ability to take a 5-yard catch and make it in something special. So I think that was probably the biggest eye grabber that I would say got their attention.
Yeah, and then you go back to, I think, to build off of that a little bit more, your return experience as a return man, right? I think there's no better example of that than whether it's a kickoff return or something of the sort. You take that and just the rest of that you can't coach, right? I mean, you obviously you got blockers and scheme, whatever, but it's very much like from a running back perspective, you can coach everything until you get the ball in your hands. After that, very much up to the dude who's carrying the rock, right?
Yes, definitely. I would say, I mean, it just goes to be an athlete. To give you an example, I mean, my first time returning a kick was at Shippensburg, actually. I never returned the kicks, never did in high school, never did at Worcester or anything like that. But going into the game, I was actually the second string, my first game of the season up at Shippensburg. I was second string kick return, and for a reason, our kick returner couldn't go, so they threw me back there, threw me in the pit, and my first one ever cribbed it. I think it was like a 97-yarder or something like that. Yeah. So, like I said, I mean, it just comes into being an athlete. I like having a ball in my hands to be able to go make a play. I mean,
yeah. Now, what kind of role does that play heading into this experience? Have you had conversations with them about your role there? I'm assuming they'd like to see what you can contribute in terms of special teams, whether that is in a returner role or otherwise in the special teams in that third phase of the game. Have you had some of those conversations yet?
Honestly, no, but
that's all right. It's early on.
Whatever I'm willing to go in there, I'm willing to go do. I'm willing to go do anything, whatever it takes to win, honestly.
Good answer, Red. I like it, man. What's the timeline now in terms of reporting for camp and what comes next?
Yes, I'll be there in about a week and a half now. And have a weekend to go out there and go do what I'm supposed to do. You already know. Go handle my business. I feel like got to treat it as a business trip and have fun with it. Honestly,
happens fast, man. This is such a quick timetable, and now. How much time do you get right now to soak this in and enjoy it, or do you save a lot of that for after the fact when it's all said and done?
I'm going to say after the fact, honestly, because I mean, definitely nothing set in stone, solidified. I mean, you still got to go earn your keep at the end of the day. So I feel like, I mean, it was the craziest thing yesterday for me. I mean, had the call and everything else, and the weekend's usually your off day. But somebody like me, I'm so getting that call like that. I'm so fired up and ready to get going. So, I mean, I was holding myself back from going to get some more extra work, but definitely.
I hear that, man. People like to say that maybe getting rejected or getting denied is like the best fuel and motivator, but oftentimes it can be the total other side of the spectrum in that you just scratched the surface of this whole nother new opportunity, and now you have to go at it with just more intensity than you've maybe even had before. I'm trying to think. There was the receiver that the Bears picked up. Was like an LSU or Missouri guy, and he was out like the midnight workout after. You know what I'm talking about. Like that immediately comes to mind of like you just got to go after it, take it to the next level. Which I'm sure your training has been very serious up until this point. But man, that want to just get back out there and prepare yourself for camp has to be huge.
100%, yeah, 100%. Like you said, I mean, I'm ready to go, full throttle. Honestly, I ain't gonna lie, full throttle.
That's awesome, man. What excites you the most about this opportunity? If you had to pick something.
Just honestly, just the experience. Just being able to take it all in, definitely being able to soak it in, but being able to go. I mean, being able to go out there and showcase my ability. It's an opportunity, and I think I got a chance to take full advantage of it.
You've done it so far, brother. You're one of the few. One of the very few. So, do with that what you will. I'm excited to follow along with you, and let's hope this is just the start of your journey, my man.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Absolutely. Red, all I got for you tonight, dude. Thank you for your time.
Oh, thank you, man.
Absolutely. I'll see you. Big thank you to Red for coming on the show. And now it's time to cover every small school athlete that received a rookie minicamp invite at the NFL level. Now, I'm going to go through all the D2 lists right now. We'll cut away to a different guest conversation, come back for D3 and NAIA. Jimmy Martin will be on the show later on. So I'm going to do my best to balance here. We have a ton of D2 guys to talk about. I want to balance highlighting every single one and going kind of quick through that, but also giving each guy their flowers. This is a really important time in their careers, and I certainly acknowledge that. So, without further ado, let's get some things going here. Let's start things off. Major Williams, a DB out of Carson Newman, signing with the Chiefs. He was a Hula Bowl defensive MVP, 2 years with all-conference honors, honorable mention All-American, a William V. Campbell Trophy semifinalist, Reese's Senior Bowl watch list, and D2 Elite 100. Major Williams has been a part of this Carson Newman team that has taken the conference down there by storm, but also the country. This team went on an incredible win streak last year. His leadership and his play on the field were a big reason for why that was the case. And I know those things don't necessarily show up on a resume, but in watching a little bit of Carson Newman football, especially after Coach Ingram came down there and kind of infused his culture and his play style and his scheme into that team, you could definitely tell very early on he is an impact player for them. So very excited for him and his opportunity. Let's stay with the Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes is getting some company in that quarterback room, man. Zach Zabrowski from University of Central Missouri has been invited to the rookie minicamp with the Chiefs. The two-time Harlan Hill winner has almost 10,000 passing yards in only 2 years with UCM. Had the privilege to have him on the show a while ago, and this is a guy that has shown up in all the biggest ways for this UCM team. Very much put their team back on the map and back into winning contention in the MIAA and in the national scene. He's got a 20-5 record as a starter. He's 6'2", 210 pounds, a two-time All-American, two-time MIAA Offensive Player of the Year, and a 4 separate NCAA record holder. That should tell you, really all you need to know about Zach, because the dude is absolutely incredible. But if you need to know a little bit more, I can tell you. He paced all of NCAA Division II in passing yards per game, 393, passing yards, 4,724, passing touchdowns, 40, points responsible for, 302, and total offense, 443.6 yards, assuming. All of those things, he led NCAA Division II in those metrics. And by the way, he was second in completions per game with 31. These numbers are incredible from Zach. His total offense of 443 yards per game, his passing yard numbers, and his passing yards per game numbers are the most out of any division, FBS, FCS, D2, or D3 in all of NCAA college football. I believe that's all that needs to be said about Zach. He's absolutely earned an opportunity at the next level. He's not the only mule from UCM, though, that's going on to get a chance at the pros. Let's go to one of his favorite targets from this last year in Zach Patterson. First team all-conference selection. He's got the record for single-game receiving yards. He's a definite deep ball threat, and he ranked 4th in the MIAA, with 85.8 receiving yards per game and tallied a team-best 1,029 receiving yards on 61 catches with 5 touchdowns in 12 games during the 2024 season. So one of the many threats offensively for the Central Missouri team, Zach Patterson joins the list of what recently has become a very talented wide receiver core coming out of Central Missouri. A lot of that has to do with the type and style of offense that they play. That style and that type of offense can only get you so far if you don't have a great offensive line. Gabe Clark, the offensive lineman from UCM, has received a minicamp invite from the Broncos. He's got All-American honors. He's a D2Football.com Elite 100 type of guy, a Gene Upshaw Award nominee. For those of you not familiar, that award goes to the best lineman in all of Division II football specifically. Another first-team all-conference guy, but also an underappreciated part that a couple of these guys have, but I definitely wanted to mention with Gabe here, is he's a team captain, right? Talk about things that don't necessarily show up on the resume, don't necessarily show up in the stat book, which are an offensive lineman. If you're showing up in the stat book as an O-lineman, chances are you're not going on to play at the next level because you're giving up sacks or something or otherwise. But Gabe has been, from what I can tell, a very big impact type player, a captain, a leadership role for this UCM team that has gone on to have a lot of success. But to keep things moving here, let's shift over, stay in the MIAA. We talked with another Emporia State alum earlier on in Tyler Kahmann. How about Jaron Joseph, the defensive back from Emporia State? He's going to camp with the Panthers. He's 6'2", got a lot of versatility, a lot of length, 210 pounds. He's an All-American. He was second in the nation for passes defended. 16 PBUs this year, 2 interceptions. He attended the CGS All-Star game, the Pitt State Pro Day, supposedly flew all the way out to Syracuse to get denied at their Pro Day, and then came all the way back for a New York Giants local pro day. If anyone has earned to be in this position, from what I can tell, my money's on Jaron Joseph. This guy has gone out of his way to find and seek out every possible opportunity to get his name and to get his numbers in front of the right people to earn it. And now the Panthers seemingly have appreciated that level of dedication. Let's move over, though, out of the MIAA over to the RMAC. One of a couple guys from CSU Pueblo. Let's start things off here with Makia Scipio, and the defensive lineman from CSU Pueblo. He's going camping with the Broncos, the local team out there in Denver. 6'4", 230 pounds. That's not all with this guy. He's explosive as all get out for D lineman. He's got a 40-inch vertical and a 10-foot, 2-inch broad jump. Those numbers at his size jump off the page. When you watch him play, I remember very vividly the clip of him going back and picking off a pass and taking it the other way for 6 on the Instagram from one of their games. You see the explosiveness. It's not one of those things that only shows up in testing numbers. This is the guy that explosiveness and his athletic attributes absolutely transfer to the field. He had 10 sacks in 2024 along with 13 tackles for loss. He's got a 4.58 40-yard dash time. Again, 6'4", 230 pounds with these kind of numbers. It's no wonder he's getting some looks here from the professional teams. He was a Dream Bowl participant on top of all of that. So Scipio, definitely get familiar with that name moving forward. Let's go on the offensive side of the ball. A tight end from down in West Alabama, and Caleb Bass. He is going camping with the Colts. The 6'6", 226-pound tight end had 30 receptions for 300 yards and 4 touchdowns in 2024. From what I could tell on the outside, dealt with multiple injuries, very limited in 2023, but he came back strong to have a significant 2024 season and really helped get this West Alabama team, who went 9-2 last year, back on the right track under new leadership now with Coach Cochran. But this guy, seemingly from the outside in, has overcome a lot of adversity in his playing career. So really excited for him to get his opportunity in Indianapolis with the Colts. The next guy I want to highlight from Northern State on the defensive side of the ball, the linebacker, Luke Gunderson, has not one but 2 rookie minicamp invites. Both the Colts and the Packers have invited Luke Gunderson out to minicamp. If you don't know how that works, there are 2 weekends of minicamps. This weekend, a lot of teams will have their own kind of minicamp, and the next weekend, more teams will have their minicamp. So that enables guys like Luke that have interest, that fielded interest from multiple teams, to go out and kind of try out with both of these squads. He's a first-team All-NSIC performer, was on the Reese's Senior Bowl watch list. Good height at 6'3", so not going to be terribly oversized at the linebacker position in the NFL. 131 career tackles, but 105 in the last 2 years at Northern State. His first 2 years with the Wolves over there, maybe not having the greatest impact in terms of statistics, but the last 2 years, he's certainly come out and been a force to be reckoned with on the defensive side of the ball over there for Northern State. Back on offense, let's talk about another signal caller. This time, it's Sammy Edwards, the quarterback that I had in the show way back when on the podcast. Absolute dog down at Valdosta State. He's going camping with the Giants. He led Valdosta to a national championship appearance, a Harlan Hill finalist multiple years in a row, 4,000 plus yards in 2023, his junior season, and had almost nearly as many this past fall in 2024. 66 career touchdowns in only 2 years as a starter for Valdosta State. Sammy is the absolute man. Really enjoyed having him on the show, and he has been, just the epitome of poise for this Valdosta State team that has played a lot of really high-level football, especially talk about the playoff runs. They go on to compete very deep into the playoffs. So excited for Sammy. Definitely would not be surprised. Even if he is a bit undersized the position, there's been numerous quarterbacks in the NFL that have kind of disproven that height and size disadvantage over the last, 5 to 10 years or so. So excited to see him get his opportunity. Another guy I had the privilege of having on the show here. How about Tanner Volk? The safety out of Central Washington is one that, to be honest with you, was one of those guys I thought might have his name called during the draft process, or definitely at minimum should have been a guy to sign a contract. But if nothing else, he does get the opportunity to go and camp with the Seahawks. Now, to start on this long list of awards and accolades for Tanner, he won the Cliff Harris Award. He's the first Wildcat out of Central Washington to ever win it. He was a finalist for the Harlan Hill as a safety, as a defensive player. National Defensive Player of the Year from multiple publications, a first-team consensus All-American. He led the entire NCAA in interceptions his junior season and tied the single-season record at Central Washington with 13 interceptions in 2023. This guy has done it all for Central Washington. He has 124 tackles in his career, led the team in tackles, total, solo, and assisted, in interceptions, and in pass breakups. On top of that, like all-American human, Tanner was an absolutely great guy to have on the show. Love sharing his story. Really excited about him. Now, let's move on to the RMAC. We got not one but two guys from Colorado Mines, the Ore Diggers. First of which being the wide receiver, Max McLeod, 6'3", 200 pounds. This guy has been one of the most talented receivers in all of D2 football. And it helps, of course, when you have Johnny Football over there throwing you the ball. But even after the fact, he's been able to contribute with different guys under center and with some other very talented wide receivers in that room as of late. He's a consensus first-team All-American. He's got over 4,600 career reception yards, 54 touchdowns through the air, and per catch, he's averaging over 16 yards in his career. So Max McLeod, a guy that, again, with a really solid frame, has a lot of experience playing on the outside in an air raid style system, but also in a more balanced attack in recent years from this Colorado Mines team. Moving down the list, though, and kind of in the same post here, Josh, we're going to call him Woj. Josh Woj, the long snapper from Colorado Mines as well. He's going camping with the Ravens, a first-team All-RMAC specialist. He was an East-West Shrine Bowl invitee, also got a look at the Hula Bowl, and he helped give Mines the nation's best punting average for 2 straight years. Now, of course, it does help that Mines had a punter, and I believe his name was Blake Dowd, that transferred up to Alabama. Yeah, that helps a lot. But guess what Blake needs? He needs the ball delivered right here every single time. Josh was certainly the man for that. And this is actually a really fun stat that I found about Josh. He made 4 tackles on punt coverage out of only 13 returnable punts by opponents in 2024. So out of 13 that opponents actually caught the punt and tried to run that thing back, he tackled them 4 times. So not only is he great at snapping the football, he can go down there and take someone's head off as well. Love that out of Josh. Let's keep things moving. Another team that got some really serious buzz as of late, these are some later additions that I didn't get to highlight on my video on socials, was Augustana. Javion Farr is the first that we'll talk about, the defensive back, and some of the numbers for him absolutely jump off the page. A 4.44 40-yard dash, had a sub-7 3-cone drill. He's a 2-time All-NSIC conference performer, and again, these are some of those ones that Augustana guys kind of came out late. This is an Augustana team that has won the league in very recent history, has competed with the likes of Bemidji and Mankato and Duluth and all those perennial powers over there in the Northern Sun, and Javion is just the first of these Augie players that I want to highlight. The next of which certainly has had an illustrious career playing over there for the Vikings. Jared Epperson, the running back, is going camping with the Chiefs. And Javion, is going camping with the Buccaneers. I forgot to mention that earlier on. But Epperson stands at 6 foot, 200 pounds, the 2024 NSIC Offensive Player of the Year. He's got over 4,200 career rushing yards and 36 career touchdowns. This really was an all-down type of back for Augie. Can he be that in the NFL? I don't see why not, to be honest with you. The way that he can blend the inside and outside run game with gap and zone type of technique and responsibilities while also having great pass pro responsibility and getting out of the backfield and having a pretty simple but really well-executed route tree for him and what I've seen. Definitely could be an all-purpose type of back at the next level. Also from Augie, keep things going with Peyton Buckley. Right here, he's going camping with the Commanders. He was a CGS All-Star Game participant. He showed up, got some great tape versus D1 SDSU this season. He had 8 tackles and an interception against the South Dakota State team that, of course, we know went on to go play very, very deep into the playoffs. And that's important. That's really important. I can't overstate how big that is for guys like this. They have an opportunity to play against really high caliber, high level opponents. That should be the very first film that they show to any kind of NFL scout or representative. He's a 3-time first team all conference performer. He was the 2021 newcomer of the year in the conference. So a lot of great accolades, and shout out to Augustana. Getting a lot of guys on the board now, a lot of guys with NFL opportunities. Absolutely love to see that over there in the Northern Sun. Keeping things going back in the MIAA, Deontay Campbell has been invited to the rookie minicamp with the Cleveland Browns. He was an all MIAA selection the last 2 seasons. 63 catches, 876 yards, 10 touchdowns in his time as a Lion. And again, what stands out the page with this guy, guess what? He's 6'5", 240 pounds. As a tight end, that is, dare I say, perfect. Like 6'5", 240 is damn near perfect. Yeah, could you be an inch or two taller or whatever? That's pretty damn good. That's exactly what the scouts and people at the next level are looking for. 6'5", 240 is a great frame, and he's going to get his opportunity up there in Cleveland. Keeping things moving, let's stay in the MIAA. This time, though, at Fort Hays State, a man going to camp with the Buccaneers. It's running back Shane Watts. Shane Watts, as his name might suggest, is an electric factory. The guy had 1,700 yards from scrimmage and 17 touchdowns in 2024. Does it across the board. He ran a 4.5 40-yard dash, had 27 reps on the bench, a 39-inch vertical, a 10-foot 2-inch broad jump, and a 4.19 shuttle. Sorry, I got to slow myself down. I get too excited talking about these guys. He's a first-team all-conference selection in the MIAA, an All-American. And what's really interesting about Shane, he didn't start playing running back until his junior season in 2023. Before that, he was previously a linebacker before he made the switch. And it wasn't an instance of, oh, he's playing linebacker, he's not maybe getting the snaps or the playing time, so let's find somewhere else for you to get out and get on the field. No. He started played in at least all 22 games the first 2 years at linebacker. He wasn't benched. This is a guy that was getting reps on the other side of the ball that either he or the team thought, hey, I can make a better impact, a greater impact on our team if you handed me the rock instead of having me chase it. I'm sure he didn't use those words exactly. But all the people over there at Fort Hays State, I'm sure, are very thankful that he made the transition over to the offensive side of the ball. Keep things moving. Back in the RMAC, over to CSU Pueblo. Once again, Taylor Toscas, the wide receiver from Pueblo. He didn't start at CSUP. This was his third stop on his college journey, but he definitely made it memorable. He's going camping with the hometown Broncos. So a neat story over there. In 2024, his only season with the Thunderwolves, he had 56 catches, 800 yards, and 8 touchdowns. So certainly a memorable year by any means for Taylor Toscas over there. Keep things going over with a little bit of PSAC flair now, still in the D2 level. From Slippery Rock University, it's Eddie Faulkner IV, a defensive back from Slippery Rock. He's going camping with the Pittsburgh Steelers. He was at the University of Pittsburgh's NFL Pro Day, so maybe a little bit of a connection there. The 2-time All-PSAC honoree as a defensive back, also earned All-Region, All-American honors as a safety following his junior year. Started all 28 games the last couple seasons, helps the Rock get into some deep postseason runs. We know the Rock has a lot of great potential when it comes into those playoff-type environments. We saw that game against Ferris State this last year. They gave the Bulldogs their best game of their entire run. In his 52 career games, he's got 36 starts, 160 tackles, 15 TFLs, 7 sacks, 5 picks, and 17 PBUs. He also forced 7 career fumbles, recovered 4 of them, blocked a kick, and scored a touchdown. I mean, he does everything. The dude, again, I don't get to watch each of these guys every second of their film. I get to look at a little bit, but I'm kind of just going off a lot of numbers here to let you guys know. He does everything. He's also the 10th Slippery Rock player to receive at least an invite to an NFL rookie minicamp since 2015. That's incredible. In a decade, they've had 10 guys at least get invited. That's really good numbers down there at Slippery Rock. The last one is Siddiqui Cohn, hopefully pronouncing that one correctly, the running back from American International who's going camping with the Ravens. He led the way for the Jackets to win 3 out of their last 4 in 2024, earned a second-team All-NE 10 accolades for the second straight year. He was invited to play in the FCS Bowl and the Tropical Bowl, where Emery Hunt of CBS Sports highlighted him as the, quote, top-performing running back. So, very big honor for him. He finished his career with almost 2,000 all-purpose yards, 17 total touchdowns, made a big impact on both sides of the ball there. He's led American International's rushing attack in touchdowns in his time over there. So excited for him. Couldn't find too many visuals to go with that one, but boom! I told you I would do it, man. There's so many great talented athletes at Division II level. I want to give each one of them that's earned their spot in the NFL or earned their opportunity even in the NFL their flowers. Hopefully I did that for you guys while also trying to make it somewhat entertaining and get through all these guys to highlight, each of their individual accomplishments. So we'll get over to the next guest conversation, and then we'll close things out with the D3 and NAIA side. Join the show tonight, team captain, all-around dog, from Minnesota Duluth. This guy just earned himself his first NFL contract with the Baltimore Ravens following the NFL draft. It's tight end Sam Pitz. What's up, dude?
Nothing much, man. What's up with you?
Nothing much. That might be top 5 lies of the episode, potentially top 3. There's a lot going on with you right now, a lot to be excited about. Talk me through the other night, getting the call and getting this thing finalized and having something physical in front of you to, obviously you've been preparing, you've been doing all the right things up until this point, but now you really get to see, I guess, the light at the end of the tunnel, so to speak, and something to really physically train for and set your mind towards.
Yeah, it was a super cool day. I mean, I was hanging out with some of my buddies from back in high school, and then a few of my old roommates from Duluth as well, but just hanging out at my parents' place, and it was a long day, dude. Draft started at 11 on Saturday, and yeah, it was a long 6 hours of just sitting around, fidgeting with myself, pacing back and forth. Had no idea what was going to happen, but yeah, it was super exciting. It was 20, 30 minutes after the draft was over, and I kind of knew that's when things were going to start coming through for me. And
yep,
I wasn't sure if it was going to be a UDFA deal or minicamp or what I was going to get, but agent gave me a call about 30 minutes after the draft and said that Baltimore was a really good fit for me, and they offered a contract, and he was basically just like, "Yeah, congrats, bro. You're an NFL player." And I was like, "Wow, it was quick, it was fast," but I kind of gave him my go ahead before the draft started, because you only get a certain amount of time to kind of make the decision. So I kind of just told him, if you get any offers over the phone after the draft is over, you have my go ahead to say I'll sign. So that's kind of how that happened. It was quick.
That's neat. And yeah, to your point, for a guy in your shoes, you really don't have the luxury of sitting here and saying, yeah, okay, that sounds pretty good, Baltimore. Yeah. Let me sit on this for a couple hours and let's see what other suitors come forth and see what they put to the table, and then maybe I'll get back to you. No, they definitely hold all the power, right, in these kind of negotiations early on, and that they know that you're just looking for an opportunity at this point, right? And, obviously very fortunate to be in that situation. But you talk to some other guys and then kind of said, yeah, it's just watching the draft like any other year. I have to imagine that's definitely not the case, right? As you're watching the draft, no. I'm sure, for one, when they get down to some of those later rounds, in the back of your head, you're thinking, what if, right? What if a team that I talk to really does like me and goes ahead and pulls a trigger and really makes that selection? But also, are you going through seeing, okay, these teams have already addressed maybe my position group, or maybe being interested at where they're looking and where they're avoiding position-wise as they go through the later rounds of the draft?
No, yeah, for sure. I was just talking to my agent on Thursday before the first day of the draft started, just to kind of get his thought process and kind of hear what he had to say about what teams would be best fit for me and what teams needed tight end and what teams needed depth pieces and stuff. So just based off of that, I was kind of watching the draft. I knew on day one, none of those picks would really have too much of an impact on me, because obviously the tight end is drafted on day one. We're going to go to teams with a major need and just looking for their go-to guy, number one guy. And but the day two and three of the draft, you're definitely watching, seeing what teams select, what position. When teams like the Ravens are up, are all right, please don't. Here we go. Don't draft the tight end here. Stuff like that.
Seriously, yeah.
Because I knew the Ravens were one of the teams that were kind of interested throughout the whole process. So, yeah, just kind of things like that. And then at the same time, though, you want tight ends to go off the board, just so when the UDFA deals come, there's not a ton of options for other teams too. So at the same time, you're thinking don't draft a tight end, but then when another team comes up, you're like, all right, a tight end wouldn't be too bad to come off the board here. So
very interesting. Yeah, there's a balancing act, so to speak, because you get to the end and these UDFA deals, and now you've got this wide assortment of guys that didn't get picked up, versus if a lot of these guys have been plucked off, in the later rounds of the draft, all of a sudden someone needs to address a need, and there's a much smaller pool. I didn't really think about it that way.
Yeah, that's kind of what my thought process was throughout the 3 days. But I always watched the first day of the draft and sometimes day two. But this year I wouldn't say I watched every pick, but I had it on the TV and was kind of tuning in and out throughout the 3 days for sure.
I imagine, dude. Definitely so. And that was kind of my next question, kind of goes off that. When you go into the draft, is there some kind of projection, so to speak? And of course, I guess to start with that, really, was there any kind of pre-existing relationship with the Ravens or some of their representatives? Did you have a good feeling going into it that there was some mutual interest there and that something might come down the line?
Oh yeah, I had a little interest from them kind of throughout the process, and especially through the last week or so. My agent
Okay.
kind of told me that they were interested, and um, nothing too serious. I wasn't really 100% sure, but I
Yeah.
knew if it came down to it, that would be a really good fit for me and get to learn from two of the top guys at the position, like Andrews and Likely, and
Oh, yeah.
really good tight ends coach there. It's been in the league for a while and coached guys like Gronk back in New England, coached Likely, Andrews. Pretty sure he was an offense coordinator for a couple teams too. So definitely a good position to grow and learn, and that's kind of what I'm taking the next few weeks and months, and hopefully next few years there, and
Absolutely.
kind of just learning and becoming a better all-around player for sure.
Yeah, when you talk about great fit, obviously the coach is a big part of that. But the existing situation there, and you already mentioned it a little bit, having some of those guys that have been around and have proven themselves in the league, what makes the quote-unquote great fit for you in your situation? What are some of the things you're looking for with these teams that might have separated them as a place that seemed more ideal for your position?
Yeah, definitely. I think I don't know if I'm 100% correct on this, but I'm pretty sure the Ravens used 12 personnel more than any team in the NFL last year.
That sounds,
Always
that sounds right off the top of the head. That sounds right to
Yeah.
me. But
Yeah, always got tight ends out there, blocking in space, a lot of quarterback run, a lot of run game. I mean, it's pretty similar to the offense we ran at Duluth with Kyle back there. A lot of quarterback run, quarterback option, stuff like that. Just watching some of the Ravens film over the past couple weeks or so, or a day or so, just seeing a lot of the same kind of action in the backfield, and tight ends blocking in space, kind of splitting out wide, motioning, being involved in the pass game heavily. So I think that's kind of why it was a good fit, just because how often they use the tight ends, and involving in the pass game, super involved in the run game, and that's kind of why I think it's a good fit for me. But yeah.
definitely agree. Kyle Walljasper, Lamar Jackson, two peas in the same pod.
Yeah, I mean, one of my old roommates actually, when Duluth posted the graphic of me signing, quote tweeted it with saying something similar to that about how Lamar and Kyle were similar players, but
Similar in that they can both tote the rock, and what they do with
yeah.
it once it's in their hands may be very different. A gap versus outside edge,
Get the
C
job
gap type
done,
of
though.
deal, right? One of them's built like a D lineman, and the other one maybe not so much, but both very skilled quarterbacks. I've seen that in person in both of them, and Kyle has had an incredible career, not done yet. But you played 6 seasons with the Bulldogs, and that's something that is, again, go back to this day and age of college football, don't see that all the time. Right? Definitely don't see that all the time. Someone who came in before COVID, stuck out that very tough phase, and then finished out after having a solid career with a high-level Division II program. Truly have made your mark on that place, I imagine. What stands out from Duluth in your eyes, making it a great place to play and have a good overall college experience?
Yeah, I mean, just I'll kind of go back to my high school days. I didn't play football until I was a junior in high school, and I was a JV junior, so didn't have much experience and was pretty raw. Had a pretty good senior season. We had a new head coach come in and was super close to him, and he was kind of just like, "Yeah, man, you should come out and we'll throw you the rock and get you involved in the offense and stuff." So I was like, "All right, man, whatever, I'll do it." Went out for my senior year, had a really good year. Kind of just my brother was a year older than me. He played at Duluth, so he's kind of a big reason why I started playing football in the first place. But my senior year, I didn't really have many offers. I was kind of looking to play baseball somewhere, and I was kind of just sending out film to some Division II coaches, especially in the NSIC, and then some FCS coaches too. And Duluth was kind of the only team that, I won't say the only team that reached out or offered me, but they were like the first, and they were kind of showing love from the start. So that kind of stuck with me throughout my time at Duluth. Kind of when it came time, when I had like a breakout year, you'd say, but like 2 years ago, my junior year, could have transferred probably and just decided I wanted to stick it out and kind of repay them, repay the coaches. It's the same exact staff from, not the same exact staff, but same head coach,
Sure.
OC, defense coordinator, all the big main coaching positions are all the same. So I kind of just want to stick it out and repay them. But yeah, super, super cool spot. Super sweet city, right on
Yeah.
the lake. Nice summers, horrible winters, but
Yeah.
if you
I know
if you
about
can
that.
stick it,
I
yeah,
know
if you can
about that
stick
up
it out
here.
through the winters, the summers are a really good time. Especially, we got a good group of guys that stick around the area for summer workouts, and we usually have about 70 guys there. So that's kind of unheard of for Division II and Division III.
Very
Usually, a
much
bunch of
so.
guys go home, but I think that's kind of why Duluth's always at the top and producing good talent. But yeah, I'd say the thing that stuck out in my time there was just uh, like a family bond with the coaches and the players, and
Consistency,
I just
right?
loved it there.
A
Yeah.
lot of consistency, and that's rare. That's rare too. Where'd they have you in the diamond? You on the mound throwing gas or what?
I used to be throwing gas, but then I was just playing third and first my senior year of high
Shoot,
school. I
okay.
used to catch, but then I hit a huge growth spurt like my sophomore year, and
I
I
was
kind
gonna
of hung
say,
up.
there's no way they
I
got
hung
you
up the
behind the
gear.
dish at your height.
Nah, I was like my freshman year up until then I was like 5'10", 5'11".
What in the
But
world, man?
yeah, I was behind the dish for a little bit, but then had to hang it up when the legs started to hurt after catching. But
Yep.
yeah.
No. And get that, and to go right off that point, man. 6'6", 245. A lot of times, size like that gets your foot in the door, right? It might not be the end-all, be-all, but if nothing else, that's going to open doors for you. Is that your experience? And how did that help you to open that initial door and start the conversation? Because at the end of the day, the tape still has to speak for itself, right? At this level, you can't just have the size and waltz in. And there are some guys that are project guys, but you still have to have the tape that kind of reflects that. How did some of those numbers and metrics for you at least open some more doors and earn you some different opportunities?
Yeah, for sure. I'd say the size had a big factor in it. Just being so new to the sport, coming out of high school, I think just being tall, athletic, and pretty lean kind of helped me get my few offers that I got. And I mean, obviously, if I was 6 foot and 200 pounds, like I probably wouldn't have got any football scholarship offers. But I think that kind of helped me get my foot in the door for just college ball, and then just adding on weight, adding on strength, and
Sure.
yeah, I think that definitely had a big factor in kind of getting my offers in college.
How soon is turnaround? When do you report?
We have rookie minicamp this weekend, so I'm flying
Okay.
down there on Friday,
Let's go,
and then
man.
I think it's like 2 practices this weekend with some meetings on other days, and kind of just meeting the coaches, the staff, and just getting to know some of the guys and doing some workouts and stuff like that. But I think I'm going to be there for 4 days, and then I think we get like a little time off because the rest of the league, like half the league, has rookie minicamp this weekend, and then half of it
Yep.
has it the weekend
Split it up.
after. So I think OTAs start after the second week of minicamps. So then I'm going to be back in Baltimore for a while. I'm not exactly sure what the whole schedule is. I haven't gotten that yet, but
Yeah. Hey,
I
one
think
day
I'll
at
be
a
back
time,
there
brother.
for sure.
Absolutely. But no, nose to the grindstone. Get you out there and just immerse yourself in the playbook, and I guess, everything else that comes with that. Shoot, that's going to be an exciting deal. Anything specifically jump out that really excites you about, the coming weekend?
Yeah, I'm just super excited to get down there and kind of meet the coaches and show them what I'm about. And I'm excited to dive into the playbook, like you said, meet the guys. It's gonna be super cool, like coming from a Division II school and walking into the Baltimore Ravens facilities. It's gonna be a pretty surreal feeling. I don't think it's really sunk in yet, but I think
Yeah.
once I get there and meet most of the guys, it'll be really cool and somewhat rewarding feeling. But definitely the work isn't done yet, so just got to keep my head down and keep going.
Hayes in the barn, brother.
Yep.
Heard that one? I like that one a lot. I had an old coach of mine used to say that all the time. But does that give
Yeah,
you
sure.
talk about, being the D2 guy to come in, and you're not the only one in the Ravens, which is kind of a neat deal. You have a couple guys with the D2 or small school background that'll be coming for the rookie mini camp. But is that just a massive chip on your shoulder of, hey, I'm walking in here with maybe a little bit of a different background and experience than these guys, and I need to go out right away and have that play, have that moment that shows that I belong with the rest of them? Or is it, day by day, I'll let them come and find out, what I'm about?
A little bit of chip on the shoulder just throughout the whole process, especially the last 2 years. Like he always heard, oh, he's a Division II guy. He doesn't play the same competition. Like, yeah, he might have some good film, but he's not going against the top-notch guys like the guys are going against every day in the FBS and stuff. But definitely a little chip on the shoulder. But like you said, also it's just football, and I know I belong there, so it's just gonna be one play at a time, one day at a time, and just kind of letting it come to me and just attacking each day and each rep. Reps are going to be gold for especially undrafted free agents. So just going to have to take each rep one at a time and kind of show them one rep by one rep why I deserve to be there and deserve to make the 53.
Hell yeah. Ball is ball, brother. You're just lining up
Yep.
against someone with a different colored jersey. You've done that before.
Yep, exactly.
Awesome, dude. Well, I'm excited to follow along with you. Definitely will be tuned in this weekend. Hopefully get to see some glimpses from minicamp and to get some updates. But excited for you. Looking forward to hearing some good news out of that camp and just really looking forward to what's next for you, brother. Thank you for your time tonight.
Yeah, for sure. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Have a good rest of your night, Sam. Time now to talk about the Division III players that have earned their way into an NFL rookie minicamp by some way. And even though we didn't have any D3 guys sign UDFA deals, Jimmy, we have quite the list that are going to be in the running to earn a spot in a 53-man roster, man.
Yeah, a lot of guys getting a shot here. We'd love to see that, But kicking it off here, we got Hector Johnson, defensive lineman from Endicott. Just a tremendous list of accolades here. Two-time Conference Defensive Player of the Year and Defensive Lineman of the Year awards. 8 all-region honors. So he's been doing it for a long time too. 3-time all-conference first team selections. Like he's been a starter for I believe all 4 years at Endicott. So he had a heck of a career. He also had one preseason All-American nod as well. So he definitely has the resume to get a chance in the NFL for sure.
Yeah, on top of all of that, I mean, winning 10-2 this year, 9-2 the year prior. In 2022, they're 10-1. This Endicott team has been at the top of the playoff conversation, especially when it comes to the Northeast. And you look at a team that has done their due diligence and scheduled some really tough out-of-conference opponents as well. So really excited for Hector as he moves on, to the next level.
And then we'll head to the Big Apple here. Noah Coyne getting an opportunity with the New York Giants from Case Western Reserve. All PAC honors for the second straight season. Last season with earning a spot on the second team. Started all 10 games last season. Set a career high with 58 receptions last year, matching his career best with 11 touchdowns as well, which is 9th in program history. So, and that's obviously Case Western's got a pretty long line of good football players coming out of that university. So it's pretty impressive that he's up that high on the list. Also the second most in receiving yards for the season last year as well. They had a loaded receiver room. He's getting an opportunity with the Giants. So it looking forward to that. Catching some balls from Jackson Dart in rookie camp should be pretty cool as well.
Absolutely.
So keep an eye on Noah Coyne for sure from Case
Definitely
Western.
a cool part of all of this, right? Because you see all the guys on draft day that are going to these respective teams. And, of course, for this rookie minicamp, they're all together. There's no longer a division that divides them. If you're good enough, you stick around. And if not, well, you know exactly what happens. And for a team, like you said, in Case Western Reserve that has some guys who have gone on to play at the next level, you have to imagine that does help your chances at making it to a professional league, whether that is the NFL, UFL, CFL, or otherwise overseas, some other opportunities there. Just name recognition, right? If you have someone in the building at that respective team that at least knows of your program, knows of maybe someone who came from your program and has done well at the professional level, I have to imagine that opens up a lot of doors. It might be a lot more difficult for guys who are trailblazers in a way where there's not that kind of proven trajectory out of that respective program.
Absolutely. And Dale Doback once said, "It's all about who you know."
Hell yeah. Hell yeah, he did.
Little Step Brothers right there. Oh,
That's
yeah.
good. That's good.
Yeah. So then coming down here to the WIAC, we're talking about Dylan Brown. I saw this guy play in person a handful of times, just a freak athlete all over the field all the time. All region second team this year, first team all WIAC, started every game, 48 tackles, 10 pass breakups, and then 2023 all region third team, all WIAC second team. He gave us a hard time against the Blue Devils for sure. This guy is definitely a ball hawk, and the Colts are smart for taking a chance on him because this kid can definitely play.
Yeah, absolutely. And that UW River Falls squad was very talented, but I think you could probably agree is that the defensive side of the ball over there, they didn't get enough credit. Obviously, Blaha and company on the offensive side did a lot of things really well for this team and were part of the reason why they were so competitive in that conference for a while. But I think, could you agree that this defensive side of the ball for them was really strong, maybe didn't get the credit they deserved?
Yeah, no, certainly, certainly would agree. His brother, Michael Brown, also is pretty good. I don't know if he has another year
Okay.
or not, but yeah, they had some pretty good DBs at River Falls. And also another guy on the Colts side, Jordan Bingham from Moravian University is
Before
also
we
joining.
go there, Jimmy, I wanted to bring
Oh,
up the pro
yeah.
day numbers from Dylan Brown
Oh,
real quick. I just
yeah,
because something
for
that like
sure.
jumps off the
Oh, yeah.
page about him:
Yeah.
a 4.47 40 and a 10.8 broad, 34-inch vert. All of that to say, incredibly explosive. So has some of the metrics, as obviously has some great playing experience, but has numbers in a pro day environment that match up with really the best of the best at the combine or otherwise.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. This kid's a freak athlete. Like I said it earlier, like I saw him play. Like
Yeah.
this kid's legit. Like he can fly around the field for sure.
Someone that you probably watch and just like come away from the game thinking, yeah, that dude's maybe a little different.
Yeah, but we got him a few times though. We
Okay.
did.
Okay.
We,
Yeah,
we,
yeah.
we completed some passes. You know, he wasn't Superman out there. Let's pump the brakes. The Blue Devils.
I got
We
you.
threw the rock a little bit. Don't get me wrong, but
I got you. Tell me about Julian over at Colby College.
yeah. Joining the Ravens flock. 3-time All Conference. 2-time first team All Region. The conference leader in tackles, and I thought this was probably the most impressive stat: 295 career tackles. It's a lot,
Dude.
A lot of tackles.
That's
That is
incredible.
a lot of tackles. So think about like, if I'm thinking, okay, so if he's in college for 4 years, let's say hypothetically he played 40 games. Do the math on that, man. That's like 7.3 tackles a game.
Yes.
And that's saying if he played 40 games too.
Yep.
You know what I mean? That's pretty damn good. That's efficiency right there and consistency.
Yeah.
Kid. And like an organization like the Ravens, like they look for consistent players, like just consistent. Like think about their linebacker room right now, like Roquan Smith, just a tackling machine all the time. He's all over the field. Like they're definitely looking for other guys like that.
100%, dude. Yeah, this is someone that I'll admit I definitely was not hip on what he had been doing over there with Colby. And Colby's a team that we definitely need to follow a little bit more going into the future. It's just one of those squads that maybe is under the radar for a lot of people. People like Julian, though, are going to change that narrative, I think, rather quickly because, yeah, you look at those numbers, man, his career statistics on defense. You mentioned 295 that just jumps off the page, but also 23 tackles for loss, 6 sacks, had a pair of interceptions, some passes defended, 4 forced fumbles, couple recoveries. A dude that really has filled the stat book in every way at Colby, and I think that's a big piece of probably how he's marketed himself at the next level is he's a Mr. Do-it-all Swiss Army knife type of defender. He's not limited to one portion of the runner pass game. Feels he can do a little bit of everything. And, that's kind of what you need to have at 6'1", 234 pounds too. He's not really going to be incredibly outsized by backers or running backs or other kind of skill positions at the next level. So if he can keep up, which, if you get this opportunity, I'm sure he can with that Ravens squad. I'd like to see him, punch through there.
Yeah, absolutely. And then bouncing on down to Jordan Bingham, I was talking about him earlier. He had quite a career at Moravian. 144 catches, 1,700 yards, 21 touchdowns, averaging 85 receiving yards per game. Obviously, like the Colts, they'll take a flyer on a guy. Like it takes one guy, it takes one GM to give you a chance. And this goes for all these guys. Like it's awesome because the Colts that's their second time on. They're coming up on here, giving a D3 guy a chance. So props to them for taking a flyer on the younger guys or the lower level guys, I should say, lower level. But
yep,
yeah.
And that isn't specific to Division III. You got a couple guys at the D2 level that have been shown a chance by the Colts just this year. And you look back in very recent history, of course, Jake Witt, very close to our hearts up here at Northern Michigan, the man who was drafted in the 7th round by the Indianapolis Colts in recent history. And you go back even farther to Dallas Flowers, a guy who came from the Division II ranks on to play in Indianapolis and stuck on and made the 53-man roster there. So they have a proven track record of giving these guys opportunities, but also of really scouting the right guys and finding the right fit and finding some guys that potentially could go on to be impactful starters for them and not just some kind of cool story that you and I talk about, but to go on and play meaningful snaps for this Colts team.
Yeah, that's always the goal, right? Play meaningful snaps, get in there, just show them what you got.
Yeah, that's one thing, too, I think that gets overshadowed with a lot of these guys, and I kind of mentioned it earlier on with some of the D2 guys of, yeah, this is a cool story, right? Sometimes, like, it's a hometown kid playing for the pro team, and you grow up and you have these dreams. That's great. I want to be very, very clear in that we're not highlighting these guys just because they're cool stories. We're highlighting them because, yes, that can be true, but it can also be true. These guys are very, very, very talented individuals, and they all have a real chance to go and earn, whether it is a 53-man roster, which is incredibly difficult, or a practice squad, or put out some really great tape and earn another professional opportunity potentially in a different league. Those are all kind of options on the tables for these guys.
Yep, absolutely. And then going down to the Eagles here, Nasir Morgan, receiver at Delaware Valley, 2024 Division III football all-region, third team. He's also first team all-conference. I see a couple of receivers here now on this list. They're probably one of the more prominent positions that are getting a real chance here at the professional level. The Eagles, I mean, they got a couple. They got A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith. They got a pretty solid receiver room, but, like, you could slip onto that 53 man. Like, you never know. Like, there's a lot. The Eagles feel like they have a pretty injured receiver room a lot of the time. Like, they have a lot of guys that are banged up pretty often. So you never know, man. You can get on that roster.
A lot easier to take a chance on a guy when he's 6'5", 215 too, right?
Yeah,
that
he's
definitely
got the
catches your
tools.
eyes.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You look at his career. His statistics, the first 2 years, maybe nothing too crazy. And in 2022, only played in one game. 2023, not really any listed stats, so I wouldn't know off the top of my head what exactly the case was there. But what I do know is in 2024, he came out and he had an incredible season. 40 catches, over 700 yards, 11 touchdowns there, and was averaging over 18 yards a catch, Jimmy. With that kind of size, obviously some speed and athleticism that comes with that. He definitely put himself on notice this last year, and presumably rebounded from some injuries or other hardships in years prior. So definitely like to see that.
Yeah, definitely like to see it. And then our boy, we've talked about him a few times, Thomas the Tank, offensive lineman from Middlebury. He's getting a shot with the Ravens as well. Ravens, not the first time we've talked about them tonight. With the Panthers, Perry was a member of the 2023 All-Conference Championship team, 3-time first-team offensive selection for All-Conference. And he's also All-American, the AFC All-American honorable mention, D3Football.com, and Walter Camp Division III as well.
Yeah.
Tons of accolades. He had a couple big clips from, like, what was that, a Senior Bowl or something, or like a pro day where he was going up against guys from, like, Georgia and, like, legit, like, SEC defensive linemen and, like, manhandling them.
Yes,
so I'm really pumped.
I've got I'll pull up the clip for the people watching, because I do think it's important that they take a look at this. And to your point, the clip that did go viral was him competing against a defensive lineman from Georgia, and Thomas the Tank, as you call them, absolutely holding his own. He did this across a couple different opportunities, but really showed out against some of that top-level Division I competition, and this is what had a lot of people believing that there was a strong chance he would be selected, and he might be the first D3 guy off the board during the actual draft process. Unfortunately, that wasn't the case, but he definitely showed out there. Also believe got a great chance at UConn's Pro Day amongst some other opportunities for him, which was really neat. And yeah, I mean, just to really illustrate your point, he's been really fun to watch. It was the East-West Shrine Bowl, by the way.
Okay, yeah, that's what it was. But that was really cool to see. I know we talked about him back in, like, January or February as a guy to keep an eye on, and here we are now in April talking about him getting a shot with the Ravens. So that's super, super cool. And then another WIAC guy, and we talked a little bit about the WIAC earlier. Jack Studer, wide receiver from Wisconsin Lacrosse, get a chance with the Packers. Studer, the all-time Wisconsin Lacrosse touchdown leader in receptions with 35 touchdown receptions and receiving yards with 3,127. Second in all-time career receptions, and he also had the single-season record in 2023 for yards, and second most in touchdowns with 15 that season. So, yeah, another guy that can really play. The Packers this is not the first time they've taken a chance on a WIAC receiver. I think Jake Kumaro was at Platteville and Whitewater, and the Packers gave him a shot. Kumaro was one of Rodgers' fun little targets. He liked throwing to him, and these scrappy, like, WIAC receivers, man, they find their way on the Packers roster, and sometimes they have a couple good games, and then everyone loves them. So
yeah,
a couple of my buddies are Packer fans. Obviously, being up in Wisconsin, they still talk about Kumaro.
Yep.
So
And I think what excites me about this is a couple things. One, we got to see him and play in person, right? You more so than I, but to go down there in that game against North Central, right? Where you're talking about some of the talent on that field and the other side of the ball offensively with Luke Lanin and D'Angelo on the other side of the ball there and a couple of those guys that just really popped off the page. This was one of those guys in that game. He was a difference maker. His speed is next level, and it's one thing to compare him, even though you do play in a great conference there in the WIAC, it's one thing to compare him to some of those teams, and then you take it to the next level, and he shows up and plays the exact same way against a North Central caliber defense that we saw go on and shut down some incredible opponents throughout the rest of their playoff run there. And that was one thing. And the other piece of this for him, not to say he has had bad quarterback play in his time at La Crosse, because that would be a lie, but what I think you can agree in that he hasn't had the most typical pass-first style, pro-style quarterback play in terms of they've had a lot of dual threat guys. Helterbrand, obviously comes to mind first. One of the best athletes that I've seen in person, especially at the Division III level. But for Jack, the opportunity to have a pro-style passer that's going to be delivering him the ball and to obviously takes timing and some adjustments, I think that's got to be a pretty big upside for him.
Yeah, no, certainly. And then bouncing down to Mount Union, Tyler Echeverry. I don't know if we talked about this guy on the show much.
We definitely have a little bit, but not enough. To your point,
No.
not enough.
No, for sure. Cemented his status as one of the best in Division III football last year. First team All-American from D3 football. Second AP, second team All-American, and then obviously the numbers speak for themselves. 1,700 rushing yards, 30 touchdowns, and 7 yards a carry. So every time he's getting the ball, he's getting an explosive run out of it. So
yeah, not only is he the guy, he's the guy at Mount Union, right? And you have
yeah.
a team like that brings in such a mass of players every year, and he's been a guy that's just become a staple for them. And that job security is not typical at a place like Mount Union for the Purple Raiders. So for him to lock up and solidify that job and do an incredible job in the meantime, very impressive. And once again, like he's done it against some really good competition too. This isn't something where, in the OAC, there's a couple weeks where maybe for Mount Union, you're not really looking at too much. He does, and he shows up in playoff type atmospheres as well.
No, definitely. This kid can play in the clutch. I saw a couple really cool clips of him like running in like the snow today. I was kind of getting fired up.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah. I'm like, because I was doing my research today for the show.
Oh yeah.
Looking through all these clips, I'm like, yeah, that was a sweet video. No, but anyway, another Wisconsin player here, St. Norbert tight end, Mitch Van Vuren, going to get a chance with the Browns. Going to catch some passes from Dylan Gabriel and Shadur Sanders in rookie camp. Should be interesting. So he was a hurdler at Marquette.
Yes.
All Big East, like just a total stud hurdler. So he's just like, oh, you know what? I'm going to grad transfer, play football, see what happens. And he just lights it up, and he's playing in the NFL now.
Yeah.
So,
no, it's incredible. I had the chance to have Mitch on the show just 2 weeks ago. So, for those who didn't listen to that conversation, definitely go back and hear from Mitch, talk all about his journey and some of the challenges of getting to that point. And, he had just told me, Jimmy, that for coming out of high school and knew he loved football, obviously had a great opportunity in front of him at Marquette. But once he graduated, that love hadn't gone anywhere and wanted to really follow up on that and felt he had the physical attributes to go make it in the NFL and had some close friends of his that really pushed that as well. And he thought St. Norbert, moving back closer to home was a great fit for him. And I'm sure they feel the same way, dude. They got to be pumped to have been a part of that journey.
They're probably ecstatic to land a kid like that. I mean, come on, like
anyone would be, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm sure the whole WIAC was just like licking their chops trying to get this kid too.
Yeah.
But I'm sure St. Norbert was feel like they won the lottery getting that kid. But
absolutely, man. But no, love Mitch. He was a great dude. Definitely has a lot of upside. Again, one of those quote unquote project type players. Only been playing football for a few years after coming off the track and field type of career there. A really great track and field career, at Marquette, where he set multiple records at the Division I level, which is really impressive. But again, more of a project type tight end. We'll see if he can make a practice squad and stick around, linger around long enough to be a sponge and soak up some of that knowledge at the next level.
Yeah, he's not the first advantage athlete to start playing college, a different sport, and then go to the NFL. So, you got Jake Witt, and that's pretty cool. I saw Van Vuren's graphic. There's like a little advantage picture, and it was like on like the ESPN thing today. I'm like, holy shit, like that's Branch's thing. So shout out to Coach Branch. Shout out to Branch. But no, that was pretty cool to see. And then last but not least, another tight end from the college in New Jersey, Thomas Burke, heading to the Seahawks. Division3football.com, third team preseason All-American. the second team all region, third team all region, first team all conference 3 years in a row. And he's also the offensive player of the week a handful of times as well. So he had some humongous stat lines throughout the year this season, and he's getting his opportunity with the Seahawks, and it should be a pretty big opportunity there. Obviously, doesn't get much bigger than that going to play in the NFL. So,
absolutely, man. No, I think that's summarized it well. Great opportunities for all these guys, and I think, we come back. We got some mini camps going on this weekend, some the next, and then as we go through, definitely highlight more of these guys' journeys, hopefully get some snippets, photos, videos, and other kind of news and reporting on a lot of these guys as they go through their first official mini camps, and then for those, that continue on to the OTAs, and from there, what does it look like? Do we have a couple more Division III guys that go on and sign some deals? Because that did happen last year, where there was a few UDFA deals right off the bat, the pair of Cortland wide receivers, of course, and a couple others, and then there was a few added on after the fact, after they went to these mini camps and proved themselves and separated themselves from the competition. So really hoping that we have that same kind of situation here, but definitely we'll follow up with these guys along their NFL journey and start to get an idea where they settle in. And if that's in the NFL, great. If not, great. Keep the dream alive, keep playing, and a lot of these guys will find that opportunity.
Yeah, let's hope so. And speaking of the NFL draft and everything, what do we think about the Bears? Bears. Off-season champs.
Yeah,
Let's go.
off-season, repeat
Let's
off-season
go,
champions,
Hey.
repeat regular season disappointments.
But the Luther Burden pick though, come on, that
Yeah.
was that was so good. That was so good. oh man, I'm pumped, baby. I'm pumped.
That's good.
I'm ready to be disappointed again. I'm ready. I'm ready for it.
Did the Bears have any
ready.
small school guys coming in?
Let me look.
I don't remember
any.
any, to be honest.
I'm looking through NAIA. I didn't see any in the D3 list. Let's see D2. Ravens,
Yeah, it would just be D2, but I don't remember
Steelers,
putting.
Broncos, Bucks, Browns, Commanders, Bucks, Chiefs, Ravens, Broncos, Seahawks.
A lot of
Giants.
repeat offenders on here. I don't think any Bears.
Yeah, I don't see any Lions either.
No, Lions have a few.
Oh, they do? I don't see any yet. I'm still looking, I guess. But
Ian Kennelly from Grand Valley State, and then Isaac Desla, who was the transfer from Hillsdale.
I see it here now, yeah. I see it, yeah. I saw him doing the Amon-Ra's touchdown dance.
Isn't that incredible?
That's cool.
That's sweet.
That's dope.
Yeah, there's a couple cool
That's
stories
cool.
like that of guys who have transferred on from their quote unquote small schools and then got drafted from their Division I universities. So really sweet stuff. But thank you, Jim. I appreciate you, dude.
Thank you, Cope.
Okay, done with D3. There's only one guy from the NAIA that received, from what I can tell, I haven't found anything else, that received a rookie minicamp invite. And if it's one man, who else than Tay Farmer, the running back from St. Thomas, Florida, is going camping with the New York Giants. The first and only running back from a college in Florida from any level to surpass 5,000 career rushing yards. Farmer ended his career as a consensus All-American, 2 first-team nods, 2 second-team selections, and he helped the Bobcats boast one of the most explosive offenses in NAIA. They averaged the 7th most points in the country, the 20th most yards, and after leading the league in rushing per game, he eclipsed 200 rushing yards on 3 occasions. And this guy scored 18 touchdowns. That ranked 7th in the NAIA, Tay Farmer, Rontavious, his full name, had the privilege of having him on the show. Absolutely loved not only the way that he plays, but his mindset. The dude is as confident as hell, and he absolutely deserves the right to play like that. He is one of the best, if not the best, running backs in small school football right now. So for him to earn his chance is really great. At 5'10", he's not a massive back, but he doesn't need to be. He's built very well, but he's shifty, and he has point A to point B speed, So getting him on the outside can certainly be a problem. I would love to see how they fit him into that offense there. So that's it for tonight's episode. I knew this was going to be a long one. There was a lot of work that went into this. If for some godforsaken reason you're still listening, thank you very much. I don't know how you put up with this much of my voice, but I damn sure am very appreciative of it. So thank you guys very much for tuning in. I hope that I've done my best to give all these guys the due diligence on their part, to give them their flowers and the respect that they deserve to go on and play at the next level. For D1 Rejects, I've been Kobe Manzo.